Hey, Bill, can you shut your office door for me? Sorry.
Okay, Aaron, we are live on. You can
Either
start
one.
reading when you're ready.
Okay, we have everybody. Okay, I call this meeting to order at 7:02. It is Monday, July 13th, 2020, and this is a regular meeting of the Chagrin Falls Village Council. Christy, do we have the Pledge of Allegiance ready to play?
No, Aaron, we don't. Please say the pledge.
Okay, good times. Wait. There's the flag. Okay, ready?
Look at you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for
for
which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
One
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Sorry about that. Okay, roll call, please.
DiBernardo? You hear me?
Angie.
Am I coming through okay?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can't hear you.
We can hear you, Dave.
Did you hear me? Here?
Now I can. DiBernardo?
Here?
Evans?
She's on mute. Jan, you're on mute. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Here.
Evans? Grube?
Here.
Newell?
Here.
Rocky?
Here.
Rogoff?
Here.
Wyval?
Here.
Okay. Did we get the minutes from June 22nd?
We did,
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to review them?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Wyville. Roll call, please.
DiBernardo?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Grube?
Aye.
Newell?
Aye.
Rocky?
Aye.
Rogoff?
Aye.
Wyval?
Aye.
Okay. Report of the mayor.
Thank you. My report's brief tonight. I only have one item, and it's a sad one. By now, most of you know Frank Swanek died last week. He had served the village for 29 years in the police department. He retired as a captain. After retiring from Chagrin in 1987, he moved on to Moreland Hills as chief, where he served another 15 years until retiring in 2002. He served a total of 44 years in law enforcement. And Frank will be missed. He was a veteran of the Korean War and active in the VFW Lodge. As of now, there's no services that I'm aware of, but I wanted to get you all aware of that. That's a very long time in public service. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
And report of the finance director.
I have no report tonight, Madam President.
Moving right on. Do we have any members of the public who have requested to
No,
address?
we do not.
Okay.
Not tonight.
Okay, in that case, Mr. Markowitz, legislative docket.
Thank you. First item is ordinance 2020-23. It's an ordinance to establish curfew proclamation provisions and creating council review of curfews proclaimed by the mayor and declaring an emergency.
Okay,
It's on
so
third reading.
this is our third reading. So we've had some discussion around this. Do we have anybody who wants to kick off their thoughts on this tonight?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to table. I have some questions about the timing on this, and I'm not sure that the wording is proper in it. Or at least I don't care for the wording. Let me put it that way.
Okay. So we have a motion to table from Evans. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Evans, second by DiBernardo. Roll call, please.
Evans?
Aye.
Grube?
Aye.
Newell?
Aye.
Rocky?
No.
Rogoff?
No.
Wyval?
Aye.
DiBernardo?
Aye.
And that passes. Okay, next item, Mr. Markowitz.
The motion passes, not the
Motion
ordinance.
passes, I'm sorry. Motion to table is passed. I did not mean to be unclear there, sorry.
All right. Okay, the second item is ordinance number 2020-28. It's an ordinance amending chapter 951 of the codified ordinances, amending section 951.01 of the codified ordinances and adding regulations regarding overnight usage of public property and declaring an emergency.
Okay, so we had a little bit of discussion last week. Nancy, do you want to introduce this since this is coming from Facilities and Services?
Well, I had made a couple minor tweaks to it and sent it around. I don't know whether it's attached to this.
I emailed it out to everybody.
Okay, so you emailed it separately. So I made some suggested changes. There are underlines and strikeouts, not a lot of difference. Aaron, you had a version that had a whole permitting process in it. I really think that this is something that needs a committee work on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably needs some committee work. I mean, in my view, I would like to identify where we're not going to allow for some discretion to the administration for when we do need to offer some overnight facilities, specifically when we have the carnival workers in from Blossom. And then we also have an event that the Boy Scouts have traditionally done at River Run. But I think allowing, them discretion of especially with the carnival workers, where they're going to be staying. But I also think that we can mitigate the impact on our parks by writing it carefully. So requiring insurance, requiring the applicant to provide toilet facilities appropriate to the size of their group, limiting the drop off and pickup times of those so that's not gross. And also, making sure that they're working with the fire marshal out their cooking facilities so we don't have fire issues. Things of that nature are sort of where my head is at. But Nancy, then, I don't think we're in disagreement of that, but I think some of this deserves some pretty deep conversation too.
Do we require those things of the Boy Scouts when they use River Run Park?
We do not require it, but they do provide it, and they do work with Mr. Finley on making sure their fire is compliant.
Okay.
And I mean, personally, I'd like to see us get something passed as soon as possible because I'm tired of getting text messages and phone calls from residents about finding people camping in Triangle Park or right out in front of the falls stairs. Like, it's just not a great situation for anybody for us to be in, for anybody to be in, because it is causing concern among residents. Especially, we have a very active early morning crowd, and that seems to be the ones that I'm getting contacted from. That 5:30 run, finding somebody, camping in Triangle Park is not making people all that excited.
More thoughts?
I agree with Councilman Rocky. I think we need to start moving forward. When you say you want to go to committee work on this, can you give me a time frame for how long that would take?
I don't know. I mean, my opinion, my version of it is what was attached that Aaron sent around. I mean, I think that a simple ordinance prohibiting overnight camping every place except River Run, which was my goal in the adjustments I made to the original ordinance. And I guess, Aaron put in a lot of rules and permit requirements. I think we need some permits and rules, but I would prefer having a separate permit section dealing with permits for all the parks and the different kinds of events that go on and how we want to deal with each one, and not have a separate permitting requirement in this particular ordinance for this. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's I'm opposed, I guess, to having permitting requirements within the ordinance. So if you want something, you could pass either my version or the original version that Dale presented, I guess, the last meeting.
I mean, we could pass Dale's clean version and no overnight camping is allowed. My understanding in the conversations I've had with the Cub Master, who's been planning the one at River Run, is that they're probably not going to camp this year because there's a pandemic. So we could pass the one without camping provisions, and then it gives us until, springtime of next year to sort it out before we need to accommodate the JC's needs. I don't see any issue with that.
Yeah, I don't see an issue with that either, but I think we'd have to immediately go into, committee to write a brand new ordinance that allows the camping, because I don't want us to be in a situation where we have to rush it through in the spring.
Right. I mean, that's a risk. I mean, my concern is passing something where we don't require people to bring in toilets and provide insurance and, reiterate the importance of the fire code. I have concerns about that.
Nancy, I have a question. You want to have the public lands exclude River Run Park? You want to, in your ordinance? Did I hear you say that?
No, Riverside. If I said River Run, I misspoke. That we would exclude overnight camping in all public property except for River Run.
And why would we permit it at River Run?
Well, that's where the Boy Scouts camp.
But I guess that they could get a permit through the mayor or the chief administrative officer to camp. Is that the way I understand it? That the ordinance allows a permit?
Well, it would allow camping in River Run Park, but not any place else. I think the original ordinance that was proposed prohibited camping every place. And that's okay too, that's okay with me. I was just making a provision for the Boy Scouts.
It doesn't help us. We still are going to fix it before Blossom though, because the JCs we don't put at River Run. We've traditionally
Right, I know that, but
other places.
Well, and my feeling on Blossom and Art by the Falls are that those are special events and that they require their own permitting process and requirements. And within that permitting process, we could permit camping, for instance, at Riverside Park, which we definitely I don't think we want to permit camping there ever, except that Blossom, I know that some of the vendors, sleep there in the park. And I think that type of a conversation could be had within the permitting process for Blossom. And our
Vendors are supposed to be sleeping in the park. Some of them are they're pretty late and then they're pretty early, but they do camp they are at a different location. They're not supposed to be sleeping in the park.
We've traditionally housed them in service facility spaces, like maintenance facility type grounds.
Well, then again, I mean, that type of provision can be allowed for within the permitting process for Blossom. I mean, we're not going to include the ability to camp in the service department, wherever Andrew said. Andrew, what did you say that they?
I said maintenance facilities.
Maintenance facilities. Well, we're not going to typically allow camping in maintenance facilities. So again, that would be a special arrangement within the permitting process for Blossom. At least that's, my vision of the thing. And we could do the same for Art by the Falls if there's, some overnight sleeping required for them. And those
we could do the
special events.
We could do the same for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, we could, except that I don't think we've ever required a permit of them. I think that in the past, at least my recollection is that council has just said, that it was requested of us and we said yes.
Yeah, we processed it. We've been processing it the last 2 years as the regular park use application.
Yeah, but you're right, Jim, we could do that. We could create an application permitting process for a separate permitting process for River Run for special events.
Or for any park, yeah.
Yeah,
But when we get into our park use, I mean, that's some pretty complicated First Amendment right issues in terms of like free speech and public square stuff that we're going to have to tread carefully. So, I mean, the one value of having this be something that does exist and can work for our next year or so need is that we are operating in a pandemic, which sort of has changed the nature of public meetings. It lets organizations who've traditionally used our spaces, it holds those in balance, but it gives us time to work through the larger complex issues of these events that are like a quagmire of First Amendment cases in courts. And I want to make sure we tread that carefully.
Can we just leave this on readings for tonight?
I really.
But that doesn't help.
I really want to get something in place to kind of deal with the
But
situation.
this isn't the right piece of legislation, is that correct?
Right now, the language that I submitted that you had on first reading was that Rob could issue permits for overnight sleeping at Riverside, not River Run. That would be, I think, the only change you would need to make if you want to get something in place now, if the majority of you thought it would be okay to allow it at River Run. Or we could change it and take it out altogether. It would be section 951.01D. We would eliminate any overnight sleeping. I'd rather have something in there because it allows us to say that if people want to protest overnight and they want a place to be able to have a public forum, that there would be some place where they could do it.
So it sounds like everyone's suggesting that that place could be River Run Park. Do I have that right?
Yes. I would.
With a permit or some sort of
Right.
permission. Yeah, and that doesn't solve Andrew's issue of, people camped out by the popcorn shop there. That's
No,
not
it
Well, it
does.
does, because that prohibits all camping except River
just
Run,
over. Okay, all right.
all overnight.
And you need a
Except
permit.
Yeah, Dale, there is one grammatical error in in your original version
In which paragraph?
of number 4.
Number 4? Section 4?
No,
No, number 4.
D4.
Oh, D4.
The facilities desired have not.
Do you know that Word corrected it back to has? I had have in there originally.
I think it should be have.
But just so I understand, there would have to be a permit or some sort of permission granted for people to be down in River Run Park, if that's the way we go. It's
Yes.
not like tents are just gonna pop up down there.
No.
No,
No.
they would have to have, they would have to get permission
Right.
in Dale's version from Rob, from Chief Administrative Officer.
Perfect, just wanted to clarify.
But
Okay.
Dale's version, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, under B, it says, no overnight camping or sleeping shall be permitted, and no permit shall be issued. We're gonna have to cross that piece out.
What are
Well,
you
no,
looking
no.
at?
No, you don't have to change it because we're saying in B, no unauthorized person can remain there.
But it,
And it does say no overnight camping at any,
but it says no
Public
permit shall be issued by the chief administrative officer that would allow camping or sleeping.
right. Yeah, the way I originally wrote it is that they could stay later than 11 if they got a permit, but I would tell everybody, I think we shouldn't pass it tonight because there's a lot of different, running parts to this everybody wants.
Could,
And when I wrote it, the first draft I had, there was no camping anywhere. And then I changed that for Riverside, not knowing which park you'd want to use.
would it be possible to have facility and services meet before our next council meeting and come back with a plan that's
Excuse me.
workable?
Yeah, we can meet tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere.
Is everyone-
I have a question. We have it set up, we're considering leaving it so that you could get a permit for River Run Park for overnight camping.
Well, we would, I guess,
Excuse me.
Bless you.
you'd have to change this, Dale's, at least my version of it. You'd have to change Riverside Park in D to River Run Park.
Okay, let me ask my question. Do we need to provide an area of village property for overnight parking? I mean, overnight camping?
Jim,
I
for the
need to-
last 25 years, so the Boy Scouts have had a jam.
No, I understand the Boy Scouts, and that's done with a permit.
Yeah,
No,
But
it's
do we
not.
need to, all right.
There is no
I guess,
permit.
I guess what I'm concerned, well, I guess we're not gonna pass this tonight, because I'm confused what version we're talking about from the last 3 we got between Dale's first and Nancy's and now Aaron's. But I don't want to have any legislation include or exclude a piece of the village property where there is overnight parking without a permit. In other words, you don't need a permit. I think we have to exclude all overnight parking, camping, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not worry about the Boy Scouts or the carnival workers, because we can have a paragraph about a permitting process. Is that the way we're headed?
That seems to be where council would like it to go.
And that would be okay. I would.
Are you
I
comfortable?
would support that.
Okay.
Good. Okay, we're clear.
Nancy, can you, after this, can we set a meeting for facilities and services so that we can come back with a singular plan at our meeting on the 27th?
Sure.
Okay.
Is there anything we can do in the meantime to try to prevent what's been going on from continuing? Is there?
Chief, how many times have we had campers in the park that we're aware of in the last month?
Aware of two.
I'm only aware of two.
Okay.
They were actually where people complained to us.
Okay.
What's our current rule on overnight? Or do all the parks close at a certain time?
Only Riverside. We
No,
don't have
only
hours for
Riverside.
anything else. The cemetery does have hours as well.
Do we have signs posted?
At the cemetery, yes.
No, how about at Riverside?
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
believe so.
Yep.
No, we
Oh, we
fixed-
do?
Yeah, we do now.
Okay.
We know we could do a Zoom meeting next Monday, if we have legislation that we all think is adequate, if we have an issue between now and the weekend. Because it will take, 24 hours for this to take effect, and it'll take the village another week or so to get the signs printed and placed.
It might take a few weeks, depends. Yeah.
And the other advantage of what this ordinance is doing is it's saying that the ordinance is enforceable regardless of the visibility of the signs. Am I correct in that?
Yes, I read that
Yeah.
in one of the versions.
Which
Right.
means if the sign falls down, it doesn't make the ordinance unenforceable, which we sort of face right now with our current language.
Right, that's in C.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should be comfortable with it. I think we all agree the wording of it.
Nancy, you'll send that out to the Facilities and Services Committee, and then we'll leave this on readings and we'll come back with something next week.
Send what out? A date?
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll have to decide on a date.
right. Let's do that on email is what I'm saying versus.
Okay, yeah, and yes, I will.
Okay, perfect.
One of the other questions that you should discuss is it going to be the chief administrative officer or the mayor that issues the permit? And you might want to get some input from both of them before you come back with your recommendation.
Okay, we will do that.
Okay.
Sorry, Rocky, another week or two.
It is what it is. I'm just,
I know,
want to get this kind of cleared up and moving on.
I do too.
Okay, Mr. Markowitz, next item, please.
Okay, I made a couple changes just in case you adopt something.
Do we have to
close
vote
that.
to leave this on readings?
No. Let me get back. I lost my place. Oh, here we go. Ordinance number 2020-29, an ordinance creating a no stopping or parking zone on Bell Street during the East Washington Street construction project and declaring an emergency. This is on second reading.
Mrs. Evans, this is your legislation.
Right, this has the changes that we talked about at the last meeting, so that there's a 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Period where they can stop, and a 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. time when they can stop.
I
And
think it's cannot stop, Jan.
Yeah.
Not stop.
oh, cannot stop. That's correct. You're right.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct. Thank you for making that correction. And so if everybody is, are there any questions? Does anybody want to change it anymore?
No, I'd like to thank everyone for considering these changes for the people on Bell Street. I think this makes it much more workable during the time of the construction for those of us on this road.
While we're on that, before we vote, I think there's something that we should also be aware of. I went up to the Cleveland Clinic when they were cameraing up by the church, and the backup on Ridgewood was unbelievable. It was down past Wendy Davis's house, so I would say it was pretty close to halfway on Ridgewood. And the only thing was, it was traffic trying to exit onto Bell. This is something else we have not thought of, but I think will perhaps become an issue. Again, depending if we have full school in September or not.
When you say,
Go ahead.
when you say exiting on Bell, you mean from Ridgewood to Bell?
Yeah, Jim. Most of the traffic will be making a left-hand turn to go west on Bell, and they have to cross both lanes of traffic, and it had backed up halfway down Ridgewood. That is an issue I had not thought of. Rob and I have talked about it, and again, we're just holding fire to see what the schools do, how bad the situation is, and we're going to get some prices on temporary portable stoplights, but that's to be reported. I just wanted to alert everybody about it because it's an issue I had not thought about.
Well, we can always change this or make an additional ordinance, correct?
Absolutely, Jan. I just threw it out that this probably isn't the last time we're going to have to visit this.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that too. I mean, depending on what happens with the schools, as we'll all see, the traffic on Bell with Washington shut down could, if they go to a half-day situation, we might have to look at this midday window as well. So, so we're going to have to just be nimble over this construction project, and as things change with the schools and change with what the state's opening and closing.
Yeah,
you can't do anything until we know what the schools are going to do.
Exactly, and I think it's the end of July that they'll be making a decision.
Yeah.
pretty safe to assume that buses will be a thing of the past. There's gonna be
Exactly.
a lot more cars on the road.
Exactly.
Taking kids to
The
school.
traffic is going to be much heavier.
I do a lot more walking to school.
That is the plan. We're going to try to push that. So
Yeah, I mean, you laugh, but I mean, that's really the best solution for at least the early fall. Winter, I'm not so sure. Because then you're going to get into a whole nother situation about compulsory sidewalk shoveling.
clearing, exactly. Right.
And I want to be someplace without cell phones when that happens.
Let's come
Move
back
on. Okay.
to let's come back real quick to where on Bell Street. I will say I did have a resident on Ridgewood suggest that we keep an eye on it and consider putting a no stopping zone in there as well if we start to see backups, because there's been a significant amount of construction there, and if that continues, it may be done, so we may be fine, but if it continues. And we did have a resident ask if we would consider a traffic stop, also consider the traffic stop at Walters and Bell if you put a temporary stoplight at Bell and Ridgewood.
Yeah, that's the mayor's suggestion. Yeah.
So we will keep an eye on all of those elements as we move forward. So do we have a motion in ordinance 2020?
I'd like to make a motion, suspend 3 readings on this ordinance.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion to suspend by Mr. Newell, a second by Mrs. Evans. Roll call, please.
Rube,
Aye.
Newell,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
You're on mute, Darren.
Sorry. Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Okay, and do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Evans, second by Newell. Roll call, please.
Newell,
Aye.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Rube,
Aye. Okay.
And we'll get the,
Thank you,
Aaron,
Jan.
Yes.
Aaron, we'll
Mr.
get those,
Dickinson?
now this is passed, we'll get the signs posted as soon as possible. We did get them delivered in, so we'll handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is ordinance 2020-30, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a master cooperation agreement for preventive maintenance services with Cuyahoga County and declaring an emergency.
Right. This is an ordinance to authorize the mayor to enter into agreement with Cuyahoga County for the repair of think I saw it here somewhere.
Yeah, it's parts of Falls.
Falls, East Summit, and
West Summit.
West Summit. I'm sorry, West Summit
In Chagrin
And Chagrin Boulevard.
Boulevard.
and Chagrin Boulevard. And I fully endorse this and agree with it. I do have a question.
Yes.
Can you tell me, Tim, I guess this would involve you. We got $24,300 and we will be doing the work and Cuyahoga County is going to reimburse us, correct?
This is for the materials.
Correct, for the materials. Thank you, Rob. And then my question is that what we requested from them or they chose the numbers? Because Bentleyville got $69,000 and I'm wondering why we didn't get $69,000.
I can address that. These are based on the projects we requested for work that preventative maintenance work we're performing on those streets. We review this program every year. We make recommendations based on the work needed and our ability to complete the work in those areas. There is a
Okay.
separate program for the county to actually repave the county streets, and that we do apply for every year as well. We haven't been successful in getting anything approved recently in that specific program, but in the maintenance reimbursement program, we've been pretty successful.
But
Yeah,
is
and I
that the
believe, and
program
Rob,
that we
correct
got
me if
the money for Sullivan Road repairs?
That was resurfacing, Jan.
Well, is that,
That's
I know
different.
that was resurfacing, but so is it only for county roads? So
Yes.
Falls Road, West Summit. What about East Summit? Where does it fall? I know it's a county road. Is that a separate request that we're
This is
making?
East Summit.
This is for East Summit.
Pardon me?
This
It's
is East Summit.
I mean,
It
West
is
Summit.
East Summit?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
says in the second whereas, East Summit.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's catch basins on East Summit.
And it's some brick repair as well, I believe.
Yes, yes. Which we're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think it's a low dollar amount, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, because basically on Falls Road, it involves sweeping sand into the brick joints. So it's always, all it's gonna be is a spreading of a special type of sand and brushing it into the space between the joints of the bricks. And once in place, it will harden and not be pervious to water. So you won't get water down there ruining the underlayment of the bricks. It's not an asphalt program like Bentleyville presumably has. So that's why you account for the huge difference. They're just buying sand for us and we're sweeping the sand in.
Okay. It was just curious to me that we seem
Yeah,
to
I
get
have
the
on my
least amount of
list,
money.
Jan, I forgot to do it today to call Tom Forkowitz and find out what the township's doing on their portion of
I see.
Falls Road and Moreland Hills for that matter, because it doesn't
Correct.
make sense just to, maintain a third of it if 2/3 of
Right.
it isn't being maintained.
Correct.
We've
All right,
talked
thank
about,
you.
okay, any more questions on this one?
Yeah, Rob, do you have an estimate of what our costs are for the annual maintenance?
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second.
Jim, while Rob is looking up the exact answer, I don't think this is a very frequent occurrence that you have to do this on the brick.
Okay, what was that again, Jim? I'm sorry.
I was just asking what our costs are. I know the bricks is like every 5-6 years because I see the guys out there, but on the asphalt patching and stuff, is this going to cover our cost or is we going to spend money out of pocket?
We're going to spend money out of pocket for our labor to actually do the work. This is only a material reimbursement type of program. So we're responsible for maintaining the roads in the county. But when the county eliminated their own maintenance department, they started offering this program to cover some of the costs the municipalities were having in maintaining the roads. Because what they were finding is when they stopped maintaining the streets, communities were saying, well, we're not maintaining anything. We'll let the road fail and then the county can come in and replace it. And that was causing a large dollar burden for the county and a lot worse road conditions for the municipalities. So with this program, they're trying to encourage you to do what we're legally required to do and maintain those roads, but at the same point, help out and pay the material costs. So we're trying to leverage that into our maintenance program and have a fair amount of maintenance to keep these roads up in acceptable condition without spending a lot of our own labor costs just on these roads. So we factored into our overall maintenance program.
Got it. Thank you.
I also want everyone to understand the master agreement tonight that's before you is actually a two-part agreement. The main is the master participation agreement that comes up every several years to participate in the program in general. And then they specifically mention what's included in this year's program. So in future years, I don't believe it goes to council to accept this money. It's more of an application on an administrative level, and then it gets approved by the county.
Yeah, I don't think I don't remember addressing this in the past, so.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one quick one. Is this our own village labor that will be doing the work, or are we subcontracting this out?
All of this is all village labor doing all these projects.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adopt 20?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend.
Sorry,
Suspend.
I have a motion. Sorry. I was just ready to adopt it. Let's do this legally. I have a motion by Newell. Do I have and I have a second by Mrs. Evans. Roll call, please.
Rocky,
Aye.
Rogoff, Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Newell,
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt by Evans, second by Newell. Roll call, please.
okay. Rogoff,
Aye.
Wyval,
Aye.
DiBernardo,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Grube,
Aye.
Newell,
Aye.
Rocky.
Aye.
Anything else,
That's-
Mr. Markowitz?
I
Thank
do
you.
have one quick thing. Remember, we have that litigation going on. Well, there's actually two. One is in the Supreme Court. The briefs and oral arguments are done on the tax issue, and could be a while for that decision. And I've been checking up on the Akron gun case against the state, and we're waiting for the judge to rule on summary judgment. And I checked on Saturday, nothing new from that court. So in a litigation mode, nothing's happening.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, we are on to council committee reports. Administration and compensation. Mr. Wyville.
Sorry, nothing to report this evening.
Arts Commission, Mrs. DiBernardo.
The Arts Commission has decided to schedule a Zoom meeting so that all the arts organizations can report on what they're doing new with the pandemic. They don't have a date for that yet, but they did agree that they'd like to do a virtual meeting. So I'll get that date out to the public ASAP.
Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Rocky.
We have an upcoming meeting on the 23rd, I believe is the correct date.
Okay. The Cemetery Commission is my.
Sorry, correction, the 28th.
28.
Yeah, okay.
The Cemetery Commission is myself, and we are in the process of reviewing the cemetery rules and pricing for this year. Communication, Mrs. DiBernardo.
Yes, the Communications Committee met, and we have taken a look at a social media policy, which we're going to be sending to the administration and the mayor for comment. And then as soon as we have something that's more suitable for Chagrin Falls directly, we'll submit that to council for us to take a look and adopt, hopefully, something for our village.
Facilities and services, Mrs. Rogoff.
Well, we had, considering tonight's legislation, and we will schedule a meeting forthwith. Committee meeting.
Fantastic. Finance Committee is myself, and we are going to meet probably, I think, at 6:30 before the next council meeting. Parking Commission, Mr. Newell.
No report tonight.
Parks Commission, Mrs. Rogoff.
Well, there's tentatively a meeting scheduled for the 28th at 8:30 in the morning. I don't know whether we'll have anything, whether we'll have it or not. It's listed as TBD.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Commission,
Planning and Zoning is meeting on July 20th at 7 o'clock by Zoom, via Zoom.
Safety Committee, Mr. Rocky. You're on mute.
The safety committee met tonight to discuss recent dog incidents, and we're making a recommendation that we draft an ordinance to update 505.01 to meet the Ohio Revised Code, that we consider giving the police or a designated officer the authority to designate dogs as nuisance, dangerous, or vicious. We give the police department the ability to seize and impound a dog for public safety if it's involved in in an event that injures another dog or a human. That we give the police the ability to classify a dog as a potential nuisance, and that and those are the 4 things. So we will be talking with Dale to get the ordinance drafted. We can look at the Avon ordinance that was provided, and that's going to be pretty much what we're going to be basing our new ordinance off of.
Okay.
Anything else? Questions about that?
Are you thinking you're going to have a safety committee meeting then to discuss before the next council meeting, or?
Yeah, as soon as we can get an ordinance put together and get it to the committee to discuss it, we're going to hopefully get it in front of council as fast as possible.
Okay. And you guys are going to look at those Cleveland Heights ordinances that the officer.
Yes, we are also going to look at that. I'm going to look at that Cleveland Heights ordinance probably tonight.
Dale, I don't know. Were you on the safety meeting?
No.
One of the officers from Cleveland Heights lives down there, and he had said he had given them a little bit of information about their ordinances, and he was, as an officer, happy with their.
This is for animal control as well? Yeah, I haven't looked at theirs, but if, did he send it to you or give you the code section?
He will be doing that, he said.
He's gonna send
Yeah,
it.
and he also had a recommendation on where they impound the dogs too.
Always helpful.
Yeah, that
I am familiar with that facility.
Okay.
And I have one other comment. I was driving through from a safety point. I was driving through the village last night at 11:47 p.m. and the traffic light at East Washington and South Main was acting up. It was flashing, doing some crazy strobe things, and it did it for a good minute and a half. And I would potentially like for us to look into that and find out what was going on or what caused that, because it caused some confusion between me and the other car that was there, because it was going green and then yellow and then red and all kinds of stuff. And I can send I have a video. I can send that to Rob if that's necessary. It would be helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for, Andrew, thank you for letting me know about that. We are looking at that signal right now, so I appreciate that additional information.
Because I did call dispatch last night when I saw it, because there's gonna be an accident here if anybody else comes through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
50? Okay, seeing none. Shade Tree Commission,
No report tonight.
Streets and Sidewalks,
Just tonight's legislation, Madam President.
and Utilities Committee.
No report tonight.
We're starting construction this week. Come on now. Okay, report of the Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Jameson.
I have no report tonight, Madam President.
Report of the engineer.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Tim.
I find it. Short report. We're expecting bids later this week on the road program and also the wastewater treatment plant in phase 1. I think that's Thursday, so hoping for good results there. And then an update on East Washington Street, still in the televising stage. The sanitary main is done and they're onto laterals at this point. So learning new things every day about the sewer system. That's all I have. Open for questions if there are any.
Any questions for Mr. Lannon on the construction? Okay, seeing none. Report of the police chief.
So just two quick things. We had another incident the other night of somebody going into an unlocked car. We're working on that investigation and may have something to go off of there, but just a reminder to residents to lock your cars up. There's not necessarily a common pattern other than the fact that it's the south end and it's unlocked cars. So anything you can do to lock up and secure your vehicles would be a good thing. Secondly, I've been getting a lot of questions today about mask enforcement. And so the police department, the governor's office has not tasked local police with enforcing that. It's the health departments that are enforcing it. What Chagrin Valley Dispatch has done to assist residents, to include Chagrin Falls residents, is they have a fillable form on their website. So if you go online and Google Chagrin Valley Dispatch, there'll be an icon on the screen where you can click on that and you can put in your information, and then that is forwarded on to the health department. So I just wanted to put that out there because we've been getting asked a lot about how that's being enforced.
Amber, after the business day, I received an email from the health department regarding 2 complaints about businesses in Chagrin, and I'm going to reach out to them tomorrow. They really do need to do something because the health department does have the ability to revoke their licenses, both for eating establishments.
Okay.
Fantastic. Any questions for the chief? Okay, Chief Zugan, report of the fire chief.
Yeah, I'll just add a couple things on to what Amber was talking about. I was also going to tell you about the health department regarding complaints. Today, I was on a county meeting. The county 911 system was inundated with over 500 calls on mass complaints. We'll shut the system down. So they got some issues, going to have to deal with that. As everybody hopefully knows, Cuyahoga County is a level 3. We're extremely close to going to level 4, which obviously we don't want to do. That's a shutdown again. So again, there's so much information at the county health department. If you want anything, if you want to add it to the website, go right on there. There's just tons of information that we could utilize and put on our website if need be. But if you don't have any questions, that's my report.
Anything for Chief Zugan? Well, thank you guys for everything both departments are doing to manage this influx of complaints and concerns. Okay, next item. Do we have any members of the public who would like to address council on any matter? I have a note from Catherine Monquist in the chat. She says, the library is open, but with only half of the parking lot. And that's the half of the parking lot that is open is the half towards the spillway. As the other half is curbside pickup. If we go back to being busy, wondering if the village is going to go ahead and still lease the Lutheran Church lower parking lot, or can we have customers park there? Mayor Tomko?
The lease runs through next year. It was an annual lease, I believe, signed in March or April. So yes, it's still under lease.
Okay. And then does anyone have any questions for the library? I was in today and they were doing a fantastic job. Everyone had masks on, just so we're.
Any members of the public would like to speak, please use the raise your hand function in the Zoom platform. No hands have been, oh, I do have one hand. Miss Ann DeConing.
Okay. Hi, Ann.
Ann, you'll need to unmute. There you go.
I have 2 things. First of all, with the incidents of camping, there were 3 incidences. First was in Riverside, second was Triangle Park, and the third was the Stairway to the Falls, the top level. The other thing is that yesterday in the village, there was someone on a motorcycle that was revving his engines that was just unbearable. And I spoke with Jim, the motorcycle guy who's here every single day, And he said he and his friends were very unhappy about it too, because it gives them all a bad name. But I'm just wondering, is there anything that we can do about people who are obviously trying to be a nuisance? That's all I have to say.
We don't have a noise ordinance. We've discussed this in the past, but there's problems with it. One, you'd need to get a decibel meter. Number two, you'd need to be there when they were making the noise so that you could measure the noise coming from the specific vehicle, and you'd need to define in terms of decibels what's excess noise. When you look at what you'd have to do to have an enforceable ordinance, it's almost impossible to have anything meaningful. But Ann, I could hear that motorcycle being revved all the way down at my house, and it was quite loud at my house. I was sitting on my back porch, and I'm at Maple in Walnut, and you're up on East Orange, so it covered the whole commercial district. That noise, it was really excessive.
And I like the way you went to talk to Jim, the motorcyclist. I think they might be willing to kind of do a little bit of their own policing of the people riding the motorcycles in town. Maybe there can be just some kind of peer pressure and discouragement from that type of behavior. I heard it too. It was extremely loud. And it was very obnoxious because it went on for minutes.
He and I did have quite a conversation about that. And he, in fact, was with a friend, and they were about to go over and find this fellow because they thought he was going to park somewhere where they usually park, over on the Popcorn side of the road. But he went somewhere else, so they couldn't. But they were all very upset that this fellow was creating a bad name for everyone.
If I may, it doesn't hurt to give us a call and make a complaint. We can always come over there and talk to somebody and see if we can, work that out in some way that's agreeable to everyone.
Okay.
We do have an ordinance on noise. It's in 50908. It's called unnecessary noise. It says the use of any motorcycle or vehicle so out of repair or loaded so as to create loud or unnecessary grating, grinding, rattling, or other noise. It's not necessarily the best way to want to enforce it, but you do have that available to you. And there's a couple other sections in there that might apply. It's a misdemeanor in the first degree, so it's a fairly serious offense.
That's good to know. Thank you very much.
We don't have a noisy muffler ordinance or anything like that.
Well, that's in that same section.
Yeah. Rocky, this wasn't a noisy muffler. This was
down to a noisy muffler before.
This is one of those megaphone mufflers that was designed to magnify the noise. I mean, you don't cover the whole town. That Newell can hear it, Ann can hear it, I can hear it without it being purposeful. And it was clearly obnoxious.
Okay. And I understand that the motorcycle also went to South Russell that night. Want to read the chat so we can have a good public record. Okay. Thank you so much, Ann. Anything else?
Yeah, I will see him tomorrow because I'm working in Riverside Park, fertilizing roses and doing a lot of cleanup. So I'm sure he will be there. I'll have a little discussion with him.
Thank you for your work downtown. The gardens look fabulous this year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just beautiful.
Just gorgeous.
Thanks.
Erin, we do have another member of the public raising their hand. Steve, I will allow you to talk.
That's Steve Byron. He wants to remind us to do the hearing
It
notice,
is
which
literally next on my agenda,
right.
I promise. I've got
he was wondering about that.
And then we need to schedule a hearing for the lot consolidation.
Right.
Mr. Byron, do you have anything else that you wanted to share with council other than this hearing?
Through the platform, I'm asking him to unmute.
Yep, okay. As far as those motorcycles are concerned, they went by my house doing about 60 miles an hour, and they were also popping wheelies. So, but anyways, I did want to address the issue. Dale, I know you spoke to Steve Byron. He's in a council meeting tonight, so I'm just piping in for that.
Okay.
Is it Steve Patton?
I realized it was
For the
Steve
record.
Patton.
That's
Steve
correct.
Byron, yeah.
For the record, it is Steve Patton, not Steve Byron. Okay.
Right.
Yes, we're going to schedule the hearing in just a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, any more members of the public to address council on any topic? Okay, seeing none. Miscellaneous.
So I have something to bring up under.
Hold on. I need to go first. Sorry.
Okay,
We
yeah,
need
go
to
first.
we need to schedule a hearing on a lot consolidation on Soul Leather Lane. This was an issue that was heard by P&Z and also by BZA and 3 members of council. Mrs. Evans, Mr. Rocky, and myself have petitioned to hear it at the council level. So I surveyed council and the administration who needed to attend on best dates. And it looks like our best date will be Thursday, August 6th at 7 o'clock p.m.
Thank you for doing that, Aaron.
And just a heads up, we have 6 members of council who are confirmed for that. Mr. Newell is supposed to be on vacation that day. So as long as he has internet connectivity, he has promised to grace us. But if something happens with his internet, because he won't know till that week, he will not be there.
Did you say 7 p.m.?
7 o'clock p.m.
Okay, and Steve Patton, are you and or Steve Byron available that night?
I am also going to be on vacation, but I believe I'll have internet access, so I can probably attend. And I believe Steve Byron also plans on attending.
Right, Thursday's about the only night he doesn't have meetings.
Okay, good.
How would you know that, Dale?
I'm usually on the other side of him somewhere. Everywhere.
Is that 7 o'clock, Aaron?
7 o'clock, August
Okay.
6th. Okay, any other questions on the hearing? Okay. Mr. Rocky, you had an item for miscellaneous.
I do, and this is it's an interesting one, and I've talked to some individuals about it. I would like us to take a look at potentially adding an entertainment district to the downtown area to allow regulated open container. I would like us to look at potentially the restaurants and the bars being able to sell a to-go drink that you could walk around downtown Chagrin with in a very limited and regulated capacity, where we specify, you know, the days of the week. So we're not doing this every day. You know, maybe just Saturdays and Sundays, or sorry, Fridays and Saturdays during certain hours with some pretty, you know, controlled regulations. And I mean, I have talked to the chief of police about this. There are some different, you know, hurdles and some fears about it, but I do want to start an open conversation about us looking into doing this, because I think it's a benefit that we could add to the village and the restaurants that are here that.
Oops. Well,
We lost him.
We lost him. So we do need to pause the meeting until we reconnect with Mr. Rocky, because the House bill requires us all to be here. You can sit here and smile at each other. You all look lovely. It's nice to see you. I don't really have anything to say. I don't want to have the discussion without him, so we'll give him a minute or so.
I did want to tell Ann, if she was still listening, I took my granddaughter to the village to walk around, and she said to me how amazing all the flowers look.
Oh,
Wow.
that's so
Yeah.
sweet.
I think Andrew's back.
I'm back. So
Period. We paused. We haven't done anything other than agree to flowers.
my internet just went out. And so I was, as I was saying, I don't know how much we heard before my internet went out. I thought that this could be a benefit to the restaurants and the that we have in Chagrin, and offer some value that they don't get. You know, it's hard to achieve anywhere else, and it is kind of a centralized location. So I wanted to start an open discussion about this, because I think it's something that at least we should consider. Now, there are some limitations that and some potential hurdles that we have to get through with the entertainment district. There are some concerns about the size of the village and whether or not it's big enough. And Aaron, can you speak a little bit more to how was we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, we do have 20 acres downtown, about 23 acres, not including our parks. Basically, these permits are intended to support mixed-use development. And so it allows for an additional, but more limited than your traditional type of liquor permit, it allows for these limited types of permits to be issued beyond the existing quota. So this is really about how do we issue liquor permits. So I mean, I did some reading, obviously let me know if he was bringing this up. And my reading is that I'm not sure we really qualify based on the size of our population, because what I'm seeing looks like we have to have 150 million of and they wrote it in a future tense, $150 million of investment. So I think that would be an obstacle. But there may be, I think it's worth having the conversation and doing some deeper research into. It certainly presents an interesting idea. And then, Andrew, when you looked at this, did you see the open container elements in the entertainment district? Because I thought that it was written under a separate code section because it's an outdoor refreshment area. And
I think it is. I think it's got to be. I think you have to designate. From my understanding, you had to designate it as both. Like it has to be an entertainment district, and then you have the open refreshment zone within it. So that was at least my understanding of it.
The open refreshment ordinance talks about a significantly larger piece of land. So
maybe I had it backwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if we're interested, someone's going to need to do some research because I'm just not seeing us qualifying for this based on our size and the land size required in the future investment, like the $150 million.
I'm not against looking at this, but I think you want to be very careful because I don't think we want to turn Main Street in our downtown into Bourbon Street like New Orleans. I have a lot of reservations about this.
Yeah.
Right.
Aaron, when you say we have 20 acres, does that include the residential neighborhoods?
No. So, I mean, I played with Google Maps, right, to see if we were even within spitting distance of the 20 acres. So blame Google Maps if I'm wrong. But just looking at that central business area. So where we have businesses beginning at, M Italian, going all the way through the far side of the triangle.
Okay.
Not including the park, not including the parking lots even, just that general section, including Heinen's, what have you. It is about 23 acres. So Andrew, how do you want to proceed? I mean, I think we need to look and see if we can even qualify based on size and.
Right, and I think that's going to take on a call to maybe the Ohio Attorney General.
No, you got to call the Ohio Division of Liquor Control.
Okay.
I can send you, I don't know if you've looked at 4301 80 and 4301
82
181. I'm sorry, 4303 181. That's where you get your D5 permits for this, and the D5I is the one that would apply for a municipality of over 3,000 people, but you have to have 150 million of new investment.
Right.
Right. So that's going to kind of be our roadblock, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
There, I think somebody on the west side of Cleveland got one.
Yeah.
I think Lake,
Was it Lakewood?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Lakewood, Van Aken and Shaker and Hudson just got a DORA.
Yeah, Hudson did one too. Yeah. So.
But the larger population you have, like some of the other elements actually go down. It's sort of in an inverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this isn't the DORA. The DORA is the complement to it for the open container.
Gotcha.
Just, yeah.
Well, unless there's any objection from council, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and look into it and come back at the next meeting if you feel like we qualify. But I mean, after you brought it up, I spent some time looking at it, and I'm not sure I see how we would navigate that before we even get to is it right for Chagrin?
Yeah. And that's really why I wanted to bring it up before, because I think it's going to take some substantial looking to find out whether we can even meet the qualifications. And so I think, calling and trying to find out, how did Hudson swing it? I know they're bigger than we are, but
Yeah.
Right. So seeing how those things kind of pan out.
Okay.
For a city also, it's easier for
Yeah.
a city.
Because the other element is like, you know, with the reduced tax income that we're seeing, I'm hesitant to spend too much of Dale's time and those legal dollars if we don't think that we have.
Yeah, if we don't even if we can't even, make the minimum requirements, it's a done deal.
Okay, awesome. Do we have any other items for miscellaneous or any other items on outdoor refreshment areas and community entertainment districts? Okay, in that case, we are adjourned at 8:08 p.m. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
See you guys later.